I may have to have you connect, so if I hand this to you, you're going to have to connect it.
It's already connected.
We're live, should be. Welcome to All Sides of Kennebec. I'm Sean Karen. This is
Jeremy Lee's up. And now we have Dawson Julia.
Yes, sir. Thank
you for showing up.
Thanks
for chat.
Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate you having me.
And basically the reason why I wanted you on is specifically with your Facebook post from a couple weeks ago indicating Wall Street's trying to take over the recreational marijuana.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you mean about that?
Well, this isn't anything new in Maine. This has been going on since 2010. And I'll give you the perfect example. We put on the ballot unlimited dispensaries in Maine based on population density. Everybody voted yes, enough to get the thing elected anyways. And then shortly after that, a bunch of out-of-state lobbyists, out-of-state companies came in and hired up all the lobbyists. And they convinced the department in the rulemaking process to limit those licenses to 8 licenses. So 8 zones in Maine, 8 licenses distributed. Those licenses were scored, and 4 out of the 8 licenses went to one company that was out of California.
So it's basically a lot like the medicinal marijuana thing with 8 dispensaries. And
Well, it's the same companies. It's the same companies we've been dealing with for the last 9 to 10 years now. Mm-hmm. They came in, one of the companies got 4 out of 8. Essentially, 7 out of the 8 licenses went to non-native Mainers. So that was the beginning of the mess. And ever since then, it's been an uphill battle. We've been continually, we get bills every year in Augusta that try to make our business more restricted, while the dispensaries want theirs less restricted. Or perfect example, one year they introduced a bill that said they can write off these certain exemptions and tax breaks and things like that for their employee payroll and things like that. Well, it was all about dispensaries. There was nothing in there about the caregivers. It was like, thanks, guys.
Right.
No tax break for us. That's awesome.
Of course not, because it's not them. What do they care? Exactly.
And and when we confronted them on it, they made it sound like, oh, we didn't know you guys were interested in that. Well, let's talk about it, maybe. And it's like, no, this is the game that we've been playing forever. And so now here we are at a spot where it's going to the next level. It's no longer medical. It's going to be available to anybody 21 or older. And these guys are doubling down. And it's the same tricks as before, just different players and different techniques, but we're very familiar with it, and we know what's going on. And it's the same rule tricks and all this other stuff. So now we're at the point where we've got a little over 2,500 caregivers in Maine. It's a pretty strong community, I believe. Some people, it's totally different. You know, you could go down to a business down in southern Maine, in, let's say Portland, might be doing $5,000-$10,000 worth of sales a day. You got another guy up in north of Prescott. He's maybe doing $500 in sales the whole month, and he's operating out of his home, let's say, you know, making deliveries and stuff. So we got to keep this in mind when we're making our rules and our laws and all this stuff. And it's very easy to squash out those small guys when you have your hand in the cookie jar when it comes to writing the rules. And essentially right now what we've been handed is a bunch of rules where my best estimate, my honest best estimate is there's going to be less than 1,000 caregivers in Maine next year at this time.
Wow.
Because so many people are just saying outright, I'm not renewing my card this year. You know, I'm not gonna keep up with this. And it's particularly a bunch of software they want us to buy now, a bunch of different equipment expenses, monthly expenses to operate.
Even for the caregivers?
For all caregivers, yeah.
Because it was my understanding when this first passed that the medicinal side wasn't going to get touched. They were always going to be 2 separate things, and the medicinal side was going to stay the way it was.
Exactly.
And the recreational side was going to be the one that was wholly regulated with, you know, from grown to, you know, from whatever they call it, seed to
sale.
Right, seed to sale.
And that's the key words right there. It was supposed to be leave the medical program alone.
Because it was working.
Yeah, we were guaranteed, we were assured, any politician in Augusta, whether they were pro-cannabis or anti-cannabis, they all said the same thing. Nobody's coming after your medical program. Everything's going to be all right. We were the crazy people. We were the ones walking around like we were talking to aliens or something. And they were looking at us like, what are you guys getting all worked up about? And now today, you read the newspaper articles and you read the rules, and it's like, Jesus, they keep saying that, oh, well, let's have the same inspectors, let's have the same rules, let's have the same software, let's have the same this. No, it doesn't work for the guy who's doing $500 in sales up in Prescott, you know, and that just put him out of business. And how many other people like that are out of business now? And now let's talk about the patients that are now no longer have access to the quality medicine they've been used to. Maybe it's somebody who has a pediatric patient with seizure disorders or a cancer patient. You know, Maine's a big state. We need thousands of caregivers spread out all over to take care of everybo's needs.
Absolutely.
And you know, to try to take a template that works in Colorado, where their population is 5 or 6 times more than us, and think it's going to work fine over here in Maine. No, that's like going to Colorado and saying, hey, can we get some advice on how to lobster fish? We were wondering, you guys got a lot of smart people over there. How would you do it? You know, no. Leave us alone, Colorado. Leave us alone, California. You've got your thing going, and the black market, by the way, is dominating in some of these other states. And we are taking their rules and regulations and literally copying them and saying, hey, let's do that here.
And then you're expecting not different results.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, we get a lot of people that we enjoy this industry. We work hard to stay in compliance, to be legal, to...
Because your whole livelihood depends on it, so you don't have the feds come busting down the doors.
And we want to progress this industry. We want to kill the stigma. We want people to realize, you know, you don't need to be scared of us. Be scared of your bar or your pharmacy.
Right.
We're the good guys.
Who are all legal entities.
Exactly. So we enjoy paying our taxes to a certain extent, let's say.
Well, right, yeah.
We enjoy following the rules and the laws and stuff. But
to a certain extent.
But exactly. But when the state all of a sudden goes way over the line and just crosses a point where they're destroying jobs and destroying livelihoods, and you know, and we don't. A lot of these guys don't have backup plans. So what's going to happen is they're not going to renew their cards due to financial reasons, and then they're going to go to the black market most likely. Mm-hmm. They still have a skill, they still have the knowledge, they still have the seeds,
they still have the ability, they still have the setup,
and that's exactly what we're finding in California right now. They just did a study, $3.1 billion in legal sales, which sounds great. Then they looked at the black market sales, $8.7 billion in black market
regulations.
Sales. And it's exactly what everybody pointed to.
Yep.
All the big companies,
prices you out of
and it's everything. It's you know, you got to look at every aspect. If you're going to require testing, you need to make sure can we handle this.
Is it affordable too?
Exactly. And is it affordable? Like, you know, if I'm making a batch of 100 brownies and it's going to cost me $750 to get every test done for pesticides and heavy metals and all this other stuff, well, then I'm out of the brownie business.
Right. There's no profit.
Right. Now, if I were to, let's say, buy some concentrated oil, or maybe I bring it to a lab and get it concentrated, and I have a half a gallon of this oil, and it's all been tested for the pesticides and the heavy metals and all this other stuff, and now I take that and I add just a small amount of that to my brownies, and I do the math, and I figure out, according to the test results, what my dosage is going to be per brownie. There's no reason we can't use that model. Mm-hmm. But the state seems to think we need to test the hell out of everything. And now the labs are saying, oh, we don't even know what we're doing because nobody's filled out any applications, and they started last week.
Wow.
State started accepting applications last week. They haven't got one application yet because the labs don't know what the state wants them to buy for equipment.
And that's the difficult part with this whole thing. So I'm in IT, and I was with a business not too long ago that makes software development, and I'm no longer with them anymore, but we were back and forth trying to figure out what the state's looking for writing software for seed to sale and the whole CRM aspect of it. And there's, you know, one day you can get an answer, and then 2 weeks later it's completely different, and answer 1's all scrapped, and answer 2 is now the way it is, and then another month goes by and answer 1 and 2 is scrapped, and
we're still dealing with that. We had, introductory meetings where the public was invited. Here's the software. Here's what we're going to roll it out. Question: what about this? No. Question: what if? And they was contradicting themselves, and so many questions. People were left at the end of the day scratching their head, going, "Huh? What?" And there was a lot of "I don't knows" for an answer. Like, I don't know. You guys wrote the software,
right?
You guys wrote the rules. You guys should have. Yeah, you should have studied the laws. You should know it. And it's not like small contracts. These guys are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. And
software
they're wrapping it up into
expensive.
Absolutely, it is, and one size doesn't fit all.
Nope.
And I'll give you the perfect example. Maine has some of the strictest privacy rights for the patients, for the medical marijuana patients. So Colorado has lax laws, and some of these other states. So the company that the state chose to use, BioTrack, they have a big habit of sharing everybody's information. Yeah, you go to Washington State, you buy some stuff at the medical store, you go to Nevada, you buy some stuff. They already know who you are because you're in the system.
It's like Square.
Yeah.
You swipe your credit card, it
exactly.
saves your credit card so it knows if you want a text receipt or an emailed receipt.
Exactly. And that's great for Squid. But for medical marijuana patients that are dealing with Second Amendment right issues and federal government, we're illegal to the federal government. We don't want our name on a list in some database.
Right, yeah, that was one other thing that kind of disappointed me was how they've kind of been using it as a backdoor to try to go after the Second Amendment too.
Yeah, right, the Supreme Court in the Ninth Circuit came out and said that if you smoke marijuana or you answer yes on your federal firearms permit, you can no longer own a gun.
Exactly. And if you lie on that form, you're a felon also. It's a lose-lose. You can't win. The only thing you can do is not buy any guns after that Supreme Court ruling.
Right, at least from a federal firearms
exactly.
We have to fill it in. That's the handy part with private sales, Uncle Henry's, Craigslist,
and
things like that.
And now the government is encouraging black market activities in the gun market. Because realistically, if somebody wants to go buy a half-decent gun and they have to fill out a form to do it, they're probably going to go find somebody.
I don't want to fill out a form, and I can answer no. I don't use that.
Right. It's nonsense, and so we're dealing with that, and now we're dealing with Fourth Amendment rights because they're saying that in order to become in the adult use market, whether you're an employee or an employer or anything in between. You need to sign this waiver form.
So that waiver that I saw, I was looking at your Facebook before
that's the post you were talking
about. There's like 80-something comments.
It's all about privacy rights, and it's all about your confidentiality rights, any kind of privacy rights you have, including searching things to a certain extent.
Search and seizure.
And they specifically say you are waiving your constitutional rights. And I say to myself, constitutional rights?
Oh my God. You can't even legally waive those.
No. So it's like they want you to sign on a piece of paper that says, we can come search you anytime we want, and you can't say no because we got this piece of paper.
Yeah,
now here's the best part. If you lie on the form, because the form wants to know if you have a criminal history. So let's say you got arrested, you drunk back in junior high, let's say college.
Sure,
sound better. But that was 25 years ago, and you forgot all about it. You thought you got a ticket that day. It wasn't a arrest.
Right. You thought it was like maybe a misdemeanor, not a felony or something.
Exactly, or something like that, or a civil violation, let's say. So you don't bother to put that down, and now they find out later. Dawson was lying on his form. Well, I'm guilty of perjury now,
right?
And I'm pretty sure that's a felony too.
Yeah.
So we've got this form that says, give us all your privacy rights, give us your constitutional rights, and here's the best part. If we get your information, once we get it, it goes public because we're the government and it's public information. And then they have the liability damage coverage, which is wonderful. It basically says you're waiving your right to sue us in the event we get it wrong. So if we accidentally say Dawson Julia was molesting children and whoops, wrong guy, my bad. And meanwhile, everybody, I get fired from my job or my whatever.
Your life's ruined.
My life's ruined, right? My family's disowned me, and then the state of Maine's like, sorry, we got
bad.
this piece of paper. We're not.
We're indemnified.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what we're dealing with, and they think we're supposed to be happy that we have this privilege to smoke marijuana now legally, and it's like, no, this is where I'd rather have the civil violation infraction than I used to get back in the good old days.
Slap on the
It
wrist.
was $250. I go to the court and be like, yeah,
I did
it, whatever. And then, what's fun is one time I did go to the court, not to get off course, but they had the wrong weed. It was some kind of commercial Mexican weed with seeds and everything, and I looked at it, and the judge goes, "This is Exhibit A." She goes, "Do you approve or whatever?" And I'm like, "I object. That was not my weed. Mine was
Throw out my case."
It was stinky and skunky and sticky, and somebody smoked my weed." It was a funny day in the courthouse that day. And it was another $250. I lost anyways, but I tried.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes you can fight it. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you lose.
Right. And
Sometimes the cop might not show up, and then there you go.
But
you
the
show
beauty,
up. So
but
you
the
win.
beauty is you still have your Fourth Amendment
Oh,
rights,
yeah.
your First Amendment rights, your Second Amendment rights, you
Your
got all
Sixth
the
Amendment
rights.
rights.
You got the whole package.
That's right.
But yeah, so we're fighting the good fight, and what we're doing now is we're organizing, and so I'm kind of the founding person, I guess, kind of driving this thing right now, but we've started an official organization called the United Cannabis Coalition of Maine.
Is there a website up or someplace where
Yes,
watching
yes,
can find this?
to simplify things, we just made the website address www.mainecannabiscoalition.com.
Easy enough.
Yeah, and it's really it's a grassroots organization. We'll take anybody, whether you're a caregiver with a store or a caregiver working out of your basement or a processor. You could be a patient. You could be just a citizen that's an activist that just wants to be part of this. So we don't really limit anybody, except you cannot be a Wall Street-owned lobbyist. That's our only limit.
Good enough.
So that's the membership standards, and so we just had our first meeting last night at the Augusta Civic Center. And we raised over $7,000, which was like nothing that's ever happened in the cannabis industry in Maine. And
Which I'm surprised because it's a huge industry.
Yeah, exactly. And you would think that there would be more people interested in protecting it. Well, they are.
They want to keep their money though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, they're coming out of the woodwork now. It's coming
Good.
in all directions, and we haven't even really started trying to solicit or reaching out to anybody. They're just coming to us, just saying, here's $1,000. Here, put this towards the legal fund. And so we just had our first meeting, and we all decided that the best thing to move forward with, the first priority we need to do, is to file for an injunction. And we're going to stop this constitutional crap, waiving all our rights and all our, the state's liability for damages and everything else. We want a simple form that's more like what a pharmacist or a pharmacist technician would have to fill out before they get their state license. And that license, and if they fill that out incorrectly, it's a $200 fine. There's no perjury charges.
Right.
If they're not waiving any rights except their right to have a background check, the state requires
Which is
that,
normal.
which is acceptable.
That's fine. I'm sure that's acceptable for most people.
And it's not too much. It's a little less restricted if you want to be a tobacco license or an alcohol license, but it's very standard similarities. And now we have our form, which is just. It's jumped through every. We might as well just take the Constitution and start
Rip
shredding
it up.
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to fearmonger you into not even doing it, so they can do it.
And the sad part is when you go this drastic with something and you say, oh well, it's okay because it's marijuana and marijuana's bad. Well, then what happens when somebody comes up with a bright idea? Hey, let's do this for alcohol too. And then, oh wait, let's do it for tobacco. Oh wait, let's do it for guns. Oh wait, let's do it.
It's slippery slope.
Before you know it, truck drivers are doing, DNA samples and stuff to get their license, and it's like we don't want this kind of invasion, and nobody wants it. And
it's a jump on your liberties. It
is. It absolutely is, and at the end of the day, it's a non-lethal substance. To a certain extent, it's very much non-addictive. Some would argue whether coffee is more addictive than cannabis. I say coffee is more addictive. Myself, I hate the headaches if I stop drinking.
I say as long as the right safety protocols are in place, I'm all for it. So
Yeah.
That's my main concern when it comes to any recreational marijuana.
The scary part is you can just go home and grow your own and for free, legally.
Right.
Yeah.
And there is no safety thing you really have to face as long as you're not out trying to sell it.
Right. Yeah. And that's one of the beautiful things we have right now is every Maine citizen over the age of 21 has the right to grow 3 flowering plants. We can now also grow 3 hemp plants, and if you're a medicinal patient, you're allowed to grow another 6 flowering plants. And there's a few restrictions. You got to have a fence and a lock on your fence and a few other things like that. But for the most part, we're kicking ass in that department.
Yeah.
Now, the sad part is right now corporate America is focused on us. We're the
New test bed.
The caregivers. We all these stores popping up in Maine, 100 and something stores. Oh, let me tell you something. That's doing some damage to Wall Street right now. The Maine Wall Street, they're getting crushed. So what are they doing? They're going around buying up the good stores. Oh, wait a minute. You got a municipal opt-in here for adult use marijuana?
We'll buy it.
We'll take it. We'll take it. How much? Here we go.
Yeah.
So they're doing a lot of that. And they're also they're coming after us with their rules, and they're lobbying for their laws that are super restrictive for us. But let me assure you, when they're done with the caregivers, they're coming for those personal grow rights. They're going to come for those plants in your backyard, and they're going to want that to be illegal.
Because they're going for the low-hanging fruit first.
Exactly. So they'll go for adult use, personal grows first. Then they'll go after the medical use, and then before you know it, the medical program will just die and go away.
Which is kind of what I think. Who was it? Like LePage or something last year? Kind of wanted to die anyway, and kind of all have it go into the funnel.
Yeah, that was his big thing, and he made an outright public statement that specifically said, he thinks the medical program should go away. I'm paraphrasing, but that was a sad day. But the good news is term limits work sometimes. So now we got somebody that can't wait to get the thing in, but the problem is everything's getting convoluted and screwed up. So, and a lot of this is coming from Wall Street. We've been in this game long enough to know how the game works.
Who the players are.
We know who the players are. We know their moves. We know what how they like to work the system, and so.
Do you have any comments on there? Bob. Waterville has an ordinance. Oh yes, Bob Veer mentions Waterville has an ordinance that says no storefronts on Main Street. Yet I can slice at 5 different places on Main Street. Oh, I can get a slice at 5 different.
Oh, get a slice.
Yeah, pizza. Because Waterville, as you might not know, they passed an ordinance that says you can't on Main Street or in certain areas in Waterville, you can't sell any of it.
Right. Yeah. No, I know about that. I'm familiar. Yeah, and
it's trying to make it so that downtown looks nice,
right? And
there's a rhyme to reason of,
and they associate
city works.
Marijuana and marijuana retail shops have a plight. So because of that, there was a whole issue a couple weeks ago with the Pine Cone in Waterville.
Yeah,
they didn't want to allow the zoning ordinance to change back to what it was previously because they wanted to put a marijuana.
The coffee shop, not the coffee shop, right on the side of the highway there, the furniture place.
Yeah.
And then and I think those guys are the guys that moved over to Winslow now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, at the Lobster Trap.
Oh, yeah, I did see something about that a couple weeks ago.
I don't know if that's 100.
We'll have to reach out to them because as far as I know, they have a grow place down in southern Maine as well.
Yeah, those are the guys. Yeah. That's Brendan McGann and some other good guys.
That's awesome. I hope it. I like the people of Waterville, but I hope it goes well for Winslow for giving crap to, should have voted it in to begin with when it
absolutely it
was the ability.
Yeah. I mean, I can respect any town wanting to zone certain sections. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. The only thing I would say is that, you need to be aware of what's going on. And from what I heard in Waterville, there was a guy who just recently bought a building specifically for the purpose that he wanted to start a medical marijuana shop. He went to the town. They got it. They gave him their blessing. They said, go right ahead. He bought the building. He went on vacation for 2 weeks to Mexico, came back. They made an emergency ordinance and zoned him out. So that was the bullshit in Waterville. And and this guy owns multiple businesses in Waterville. It's not like he's a nobody that was going to bring crime, and he was from some biker gang or something, or had a history of
some nefarious issues.
Right? No, he's a clean-cut businessman that's got multiple businesses, not just in Waterville but in other towns too, and he wants to have a piece of the pie, and he's a local guy, which by all means
he can be better.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. I'd rather give him.
I'm a libertarian, so I'm like, as long as you don't tread on anyone's rights, or you physically hurt anybody.
Exactly, and I'm more that way too. I mean, I seriously have issues with the Wall Street people, but it's because of their history directly in my industry and how they've literally utilized our government to become a weapon against us. Yeah, the small business people that are the bread and butter of this whole state. We're the majority of the hiring force in Maine. It's not the Walmarts. It's the small businesses.
Yep, absolutely.
And we bring in the majority of the taxes too. And hopefully we can get our point across with this new organization. We raised over, I don't know if I said this, but we raised over $7,000 yesterday, and we had a big turnout.
That's awesome.
Over 100 people showed up at the Weston Civic Center in the banquet room we had, and there was a lot of people that couldn't make it. A lot of people down in the South particularly. So I'm hoping that we can schedule the next meeting down in southern Maine. Get some
even if it's like someplace like Lewiston or Auburn or someplace that's more central located for central Maine and southern Maine to meet up, then hopefully everybody can get out there.
Exactly.
So do you guys have a 501c3?
That's what we're working on right now. This is our starting Monday. We're going to have our first board meeting.
Nice.
And we're going to we've got a couple attorneys' offices that have kind of specialize in that kind of 501c3 thing. And so there's a couple different things we can get. One, you're allowed to be political, but you can't write off things. Another, you can't be political, but you can.
That's kind of like the difference between a 501c3 and a 501c4.
Exactly.
Because one's kind of like a political action versus a non-profit.
So we need to find the right thing that works for us, so that we can still have a voice, and hopefully we can get a tax break if we are contributing. And I don't know if we can figure that out or not, but one way or another we're going to get some sort of non-profit status. So that's our next step, and as soon as we get that done, we're going to the next lawyer's office to file our injunction.
Right, because you gotta have a name associated with that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We gotta have a title for it, so the applications for cultivation, adult use, are coming out on December 5th. So that's why we're in a fast track. Yeah, we gotta move fast to get court action in time. So
absolutely.
And hopefully we can make a big impression to the state and get their attention and let them know that, you need to stop focusing on a handful of lobbyists and letting them dictate how this program should work. And you need to start focusing on the main people.
Right.
And that's the most important thing. We're the people who voted these people in. We're the people who can vote them out. And we... that's what we'll do if we have to.
And even if you're not an advocate of marijuana, it kind of goes. You should still be supportive of this because it kind of goes against everything that we as Mainers believe in: local control over what you're looking to do, as opposed to bringing in the people that are Wall Street and the elites and people like that are out of the state that are trying to run everything.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I'll give you the perfect example. The senator that represents Waterville, Senator Scott Searway, is probably one of the most anti-cannabis senators.
He used to be my dare officer.
Exactly.
When I was in elementary school.
And he'll admit it.
He's a nice guy.
He has no issues being the biggest anti-cannabis senator.
Deputy Searway is
But I'll tell you one thing. There's one spot where we meet up 100% in agreement with cannabis, and that is, and I've talked to him in the halls many times, and he's a great guy outside of his hate for cannabis.
Right. But that's also what you get because that's what his job is. So
he's had that career forever.
He sees like the backside,
right?
Just the backside.
But the one thing me and Senator Searway totally agree with is that if there's going to be legal cannabis in Maine, then the Maine people should have the first crack at it. We should have a fair shot. We shouldn't be rolling out the carpet for Walmart. And so that's a beautiful thing in my opinion, because you know what? Even if we can agree to disagree on certain things, but if we can meet together on that one issue, I support Searway in that to a certain extent. Yeah. Go get them, Searway.
So another question: is banking coming for recreational or medicinal coming down the road?
I think we're going to see it here in the near future, honestly, because the federal government has been sitting on a lot of bills that's waiting to get introduced to the Senate.
Yeah, I saw they just passed, the House just in committee passed.
I think that's another one that's going to
deschedule marijuana at a federal level.
Exactly.
That's the House, though.
Yeah,
as opposed to the Senate.
It was a committee too. I don't even think we've gotten to the full floor vote yet. So let's see how that goes. But then it has to go to the Senate. But what's happening is the Senate has got a pile of bills, and it's all marijuana bills, and they're holding them hostage, from what I understand. Mitch McConnell is, to a certain extent, holding these bills hostage, and they're using it as a bargaining chip. You know, you give us this, we'll give you that. And I think a lot of it has to do with taxes and what they're going to do with the whole budget and stuff. So we'll see where that goes, but I think what's going to happen, and there was a Forbes article, and that's where I'm getting most of this info from, but there was a Forbes article just 2 or 3 weeks ago that specifically talked about this and this pile of bills on Mitch McConnell's desk, and they said all their sources are telling them from D.C. this is going to happen, and it could happen before the end of December.
I hope so.
Like, just out of nowhere, just boom, we wake up one day and on the news, Senate's voting for all this crap. So
I'd be happy because
if ever is there a time to call Susan Collins and
Angus King.
Angus King, that's the one. Yes, now is the time. Yeah. Make sure they're going to vote yes for that stuff, because we need those votes. And you know, there's the banks issue. We've got vets that want to use cannabis instead of, you know, deadly narcotics that are addictive. Mm-hmm. That's a no-brainer. Give these guys their freedom.
Yeah,
they fought for that shit.
They take the risk of losing their
lives.
Yeah.
Well, plus they keep that stuff at their office, so they risk people breaking in.
And then we got gun issues, and so we're taking a safe plant away from a vet that we used to give guns to, and now we're saying you can't have guns because you got PTSD thanks to the war, but now, you know, you either take these deadly pills or else we're going to take your guns. No, that's not cool. So we need to fix that. The banks, there's so much stuff that needs to be fixed, including I should be able to drive in my car and go from Maine to, well, that's a bad example, I guess, but let's just say if I'm in Washington State, I should be able to drive to Oregon and to California with my cannabis without any
reciprocal laws.
Exactly. And the federal
you can't even do that with guns.
No. And oh, that's another issue.
It is. Well, I work throughout a lot of New England, and I got to worry about that.
23,000 gun laws.
Well, you don't even want to step foot in New York or Massachusetts.
I wonder how many marijuana laws there are.
There's probably just as many.
Yeah.
Well, will be.
Well, another issue about this federal stuff is think about this one. The big thing now is we have to have Border Patrol and Customs agents that are randomly scattering around doing these roadblock things.
Because they can do that within 100 miles. Exactly,
which covers all of Maine. And so there's the Fourth Amendment again. Yeah. Okay, we got no rights. And so they, they can pull us. They can ask us to pull over. They can go through our car based on not on probable cause or even suspicion. They can literally search your car based on I forget what the word is, but it's like an instinct or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or, it's.
Plus, they have dogs. Any kind of dog that might sniff.
Yeah, and so now we're we get caught with cannabis driving down the road in a state where it's legal, and we just bought it legally, and we paid our taxes on it. Yeah. And now what? We get the feds.
Well, once you pay the taxes, they don't really care.
Yeah.
Now they'll just bust you for it
until you get to the roadblock. Right. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, we're making progress, and I think there's a lot of progress coming down the road. The thing is the most important thing, in my opinion, is we can't just have super marijuana farms. We have to have the small family farms everywhere throughout the country, not just Maine, everywhere. And
I think that the quality would be a lot better.
Oh, absolutely.
At a smaller pace than it would be a massive pace.
Well, you don't want, like, I've watched South Park, and they have those if you watch new episodes of South Park, one of the main characters has a marijuana grow farm called Tegrity Farms.
Tegrity Farms.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and, that's like basically all the TV show's now about is him growing up and growing Tegrity Farms.
Oh, I gotta watch it.
And how big business is killing everything.
I mean, now he wants to be in big business. And now, like the last episode a couple of weeks ago was him trying to go to China.
Yeah, to sell it.
And to sell it over there. Because there's so much market. Because there's a lot of people over there.
Yeah, there's like billions over there. That's awesome.
They even get into making like soy burgers with the like patties for. This Burger King came out.
The Impossible. Not even made with meat anymore.
Dunkin' Donuts has got one too, some kind of sausage patty thing that's like the Impossible sausage.
Everything's now Impossible Burger.
Right. Yeah. What's this world coming to?
Maybe with a THC patty, why not?
Yeah, everybody's going plant crazy is what it is.
Everything in moderation.
You can dig
it. Right. It's really cool. It's a really cool thing. I mean, at the end of the day, plants give us oxygen. And let's face it, we need them and they need us.
Right.
And let's grow some more plants. All the more reason to grow more marijuana. Yeah.
There's no reason not to use hemp. It grows so much faster than trees do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just as durable. Hemp-free, anything you can make a house with.
Right.
But I think hemp is legally. Now it's federally legal.
Yeah.
Hemp is.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions?
No questions for me. So
what time it is?
Definitely like and share this podcast. Guess we can end here. I'm Sean Karen.
And I'm Jeremy Lezot.
I'm Dawson Julia.
I'd like to thank Dawson for being here. And if you have any questions, where can they find you?
www.maincannabiscoalition.com. You can sign up and become a member there. You can become active also. You can sign up to be a volunteer. And you can also donate there. And a couple of those features are going to be ready next week. Just
you guys have like a GoFundMe or anything like that?
Well, I might set one up this weekend just to get things started, but our donation page on our website should be up and running sometime this week.
Awesome.
We're working with the web designers, and by the way, Kush Media.
My friend Sierra,
excellent company. They donated the full website to us. They did graphic arts work and all kinds of cool stuff, and they've really been a big help. So I recommend them highly.
Me too. Kush Media.
Yes. Sounds like a really good thing you got going on, so definitely help them out if you can, give some donations. This is All Sides of Kennebec, and until next time, be easy, be safe, and remember, true patriot questions everything.